Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Los Angeles, the city of champions. Again? Just once more to establish the record. No, I've been lucky enough to serve as your mayor since 2013 when we've won a Stanley Cup, WNBA, MLS Cup, World Series, NBA, and now a Super Bowl. So I think our work is complete here for now. But thank you as we look at a different sort of a championship that we are so proud to hold, which is around environmental stewardship, to make sure that here in this beautiful city that we're confronting the biggest challenge of our lives, that of climate change, that we're delivering better air, that we're delivering more advanced technology, that we're looking at what we can do to reduce our emissions to do our part. And today we send our city's first full-size hybrid electric street sweeper out into North Hollywood. Yeah. An exciting day. This is a hybrid vehicle that will reduce fossil fuel burn by 25 to 30% as compared to one of the sweepers that you've seen on your streets. We want to deliver basic city services, but we want to do it in a way which brings a green agenda to you. A few years ago, together with this amazing city council that I've had the joy of serving alongside, we put forward that environmentalism wasn't just something to be owned by a couple departments. It wasn't just for Department of Water and Power to own or the Bureau of Sanitation, but that every single department needed to have a chief sustainability officer and needed to look at our city's Green New Deal and look at whether it was the way that they were copying paper at LAPD or whether it was the way that our fire department, which is going to be rolling out our first also electric hybrid fire truck in America soon, that each one of our departments looked at what they could do in what will have to be a group effort for us to meet the goals, our ambitious goals, to reduce emissions and to save this planet. Fueling our momentum to build something that's cleaner and greener requires all of us. But we know when LA takes those steps that we can lead this state, we can lead this country, and we can inspire the world. Our purchasing power can get companies to make those decisions, to change what they do. So when we do it, it's not just about one street sweeper or two as it is here today, but helping great companies step forward and be able to do this for the entire world. And this momentum is real. It's one of the reasons why we're designating this yard where we've gathered today as the Center for Green Fleet Innovation. This site in North Hollywood is where StreetsLA will continue to test and develop zero and near zero emission equipment and green facility initiatives. And in leading this, we don't do this alone. We have a great partner who I got to join with serving on the city council for many years, who now represents the Valley in Congress, who we'd like to welcome, Congressmember Tony Cardenas. Thank you. I'm coming forward in just a second, don't worry. And then our city council, we're joined by Councilmembers Paul Krekorian and Mitch O'Farrell, Bob Blumenfield and Nithya Raman. And give them a round of applause and thank them. And I'm sure there's other council members here in spirit as well. And from StreetsLA, I want to really thank the leadership. Keith and Greg, Keith Mosey, who's the general manager, who's come up from this department, who came out for a summer employment in the city of LA and now leads this, one of the most important departments in our city. And Greg Spott's the chief sustainability officer who's really pushed this technology forward. We could not be here without them. So thank both of them. And two amazing women who have joined us who are our citizens who serve on the oversight of running the Department of Public Works, including our StreetsLA. I want to thank our Vice President, Eric Garcetti, and Teresa Villegas for being with us as well. And finally, a couple other thank yous. Tony Royster, who is the procurement specialist, who has helped us get one of the greenest fleets in the United States of America. I remember sitting down with him just 8 short years ago, saying, hey, let's make more than half of our vehicle purchases zero emissions. And he didn't miss a beat. He said, okay, let's do it. And he has proven that in department after department after department. The general manager of general services, Tony Royster. Thank you, Tony, as well, for your leadership. And then finally, our commercial partners, I want to thank you because we can't just do this on our own. If we don't have progressive companies looking to step up and make this happen, from Hawker Equipment, Beam, Rouge Cleantech, Cake, and Federal Signal, you make this possible. And we want to keep those jobs, generating the green economy here in Los Angeles and throughout the United States and this world. You know, Los Angeles has always been an innovation laboratory, a place that's always looking towards the future. And we set ourselves bold goals, like getting 80% zero-emission vehicles in Los Angeles by 2035, 100% for our LA DOT buses by 2028 when the Olympics and Paralympics come here, by 2030, if not by 2028, which I'll keep pushing for while I'm here, with Metro buses as well. And these are huge commitments to run an entire public transportation system. And Councilmember Krikorian and I recently were at the full electrification of, I'm going to go back to the orange line because that's what we like to call it, right? Yes, exactly, instead of G. The orange line, which is the most successful rapid bus transit line in America. We're showing that this is good for our health, it's good for our basic services, it's good for our economy as well. LA DOT not only is going to have 100% of our buses be fully electric by 2028, they're going to charge from a solar and storage microgrid that they will manage as well, which is incredibly impressive. When we look at the clean transportation options and making them more accessible and affordable, this is the kind of innovation that we want to see. That's why we've invested over $70 million as a city in the charging infrastructure, and I hope you all saw that, one of two that we have so far, and I hope we can purchase quite a few others. Those are mobile charging facilities that are powered by the sun. We have one in our yard for Rec and Parks at our Emergency Operations Center, so that when there's a crisis like the one we just went through, if, God forbid, an earthquake or something, our power lines go down, we can continue to be there for our city and deliver what our city needs. Today we have over 16,000, that's right, 16,000 public and commercial charging stations, including 430 from another bureau of our Department of Public Works, our street lights, which have turned into kind of the Swiss Army knives of our city streets. That's more than any city in the United States. And we're keeping up the pace, installing another 600 stations a month on average. That's 20 new stations a day. And we've also launched Blue LA to make sure that as we look at electric vehicles, that's not just for those who have the resources, but starting in our lowest income, predominantly communities of color. It's the first fully electric car sharing program in our city that allows people to be able to swipe out a car, take it when they need it, but know that they have zero emissions. Today there are 37 stations, 60 vehicles in operations, and Blue LA is bringing dozens of new stations and 100 more vehicles online just this year. And last year also, Los Angeles launched the first zero-emission delivery zone in the country. This is a special curb area that if you want to deliver your packages, you have to have a zero-emission truck to get there, including electric trucks and e-cargo bikes. And with that program, we're creating incentives to make sure that our companies here go electric. And now with this new hybrid electric street sweeper, we're demonstrating the power of partnership in cleaning our streets. And nothing's more important than clean streets. And I want to thank the incredible dedication. I think I just felt a little bit of rain. That's usually a sign to stop talking. But lastly, I got to thank our federal leaders. I got to thank our members of Congress and President Biden for the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, which includes $7.5 billion for EV charging infrastructure to build a nationwide network of publicly available chargers. And I know Congressman Cardenas is going to help us get as much of that money. We're going to be putting an application in every single moment that we can. So with that, cleaner air, lower emission, healthier communities, a more sustainable future. I know we have Spanish, but I've talked long enough. I'll come back for that. Let me turn it over to a man who's going to help that happen and who really helped us deliver the biggest infrastructure piece of legislation in our lives. I know everybody's like, we didn't accomplish a lot last year. We accomplished more last year at the federal level than I've ever seen. We've been waiting for Infrastructure Week for 10 years. Finally got delivered. Here he is, Congressman Tony Cardenas.
Muchísimas gracias, alcalde. Thank you very much, Mayor Garcetti and Councilmember Krikorian. It's wonderful to be in your district. Mitch, Bob, thank you so much. And to all of the people with the city of Los Angeles, thank you for being the team and the family that is making us the city that the world is looking at for leadership and for action. I'm a United States Congressman, but for 10 years I had the honor of being elected to be a council member. And at that time, it was myself and then Councilman Garcetti that we signed the ordinance to push the Department of Water and Power to become the cleanest municipal water and power district in the country. There's always resistance to change, but we were able to make that happen, and now they are actually exceeding the goals that we set in our ordinance that we passed by the City Council. So I just wanted to say the leadership in the city of Los Angeles has been a beacon of not only hope, but example for this country and for the world for many, many, many years. And I'll tell you what, you're giving me a little bit of credit for what we've been able to do when it comes to the advancements we've done in the last 16 months in Washington, D.C. But let me tell you, it wasn't until U.S. Senator, before he was a U.S. Senator, he was a councilman for a while, council president. When he got to the U.S. Senate from California, all of a sudden we started passing laws and getting them done and being much more appropriate to the environment. And you're darn right. We are not only going to bring millions to the city of Los Angeles, but when all is said and done, it's going to be with a big B, as in billions. That's not a hope. That's not a hope. That's a promise. That's a promise, ladies and gentlemen. Tony, you're going to be able to buy a lot of stuff with that. And keep charging forward with that example. I don't want to take too much of your time, but I did want to say before all of these cameras and before all of you hardworking people, and those of you who are mothers and fathers and grandparents and people who are looking to the future, to say we cannot treat this planet the way we have in the past, and we have to live our values. And our values in Los Angeles is to be clean, is to be green, is to be innovators, is to go ahead and push past the naysayers and those who are afraid of change, and to realize that change is good. And what we're standing in front of right now is the beginning of a cleaner, more amazing Los Angeles, a better California, a better country, and the example that we should be and will be to the world. So thank you.
Congressman, if we can borrow that as a slogan, keep charging forward. I like the double entendre there. Let's make that happen. Next, Councilmember Paul Krekorian has been a long-time, tireless champion, a real leader on our push to get LA to 100% renewable, which we will be 97% of the way there by the end of this decade. And I know that under both your, Councilmember O'Farrell, the entire council's leadership, I know I'm probably stepping on the lead for next week, but next week we'll turn on a solar project in New Mexico and be for the first time over 50% renewable energy in the city of Los Angeles. It's a really historic moment because Alex Padilla and I, in 2001, divested from coal, got laughed at by our former friend Ron Deaton, who said, oh, you guys are cute and environmentalists, it'll never pass. We got 10 votes that day. It was the first day we started that pathway. But Paul Krekorian has been on that path since he was at the state level as an assembly member. He has been such a leader here, not just as budget chair, but he was ensuring the funding to allow our city fleets to meet their zero-emission goals and have the proper charging infrastructure. We couldn't be here without him. A great member of Metro as well. Please welcome the council member of this district, Paul Krekorian.
Well, thank you, Mayor Garcetti, and Congressman Cardenas. Thank you to my colleagues on the council and all of our city leaders here. Thank you and welcome to the 2nd Council District, which, if it's not known yet as the global leader in environmental innovation, well, maybe we're taking a step forward today with this, and we're still working on it. You know, this council has taken such leadership and partnership with this mayor to go beyond slogans. A lot of people in elected office are good with slogans. They're good with acronyms. They're good with catchphrases. But the mayor has said throughout his time as mayor that our job is to get back to basics. And what we see today is a way to do the basic service of cities in a way that changes the entire world and sets an example for the entire world and creates tomorrow's new technologies. That's what we're doing today. So with all of the benefits to the environment, all of the benefits to public health that we're producing today, we're also setting an example for the world, and we're helping to create markets for the private sector to be able to create the new technologies that not just this city, but every city in the world is going to need. And I couldn't be prouder to have that happening right here in the 2nd Council District. I want to pay special notice to these bikes over here because for many, many years, this is another benefit that's coming out of today that beyond the environmental. For many, many years, we have struggled in the Budget and Finance Committee with liability that the city's been exposed to because people who are bicycling, which we're trying to encourage more of, people who are bicycling hit a pothole, hit a crack, they're injured, there's liability to the city. So working with street services, we in the Budget and Finance Committee on the Risk Management Task Force have talked to street services about what can we do to make sure that we're checking every single yard of the bike infrastructure that we have in Los Angeles to keep it safe, to encourage more people to take up biking. And this innovation, I can't tell you how excited I am that we're going to have these electric bikes here that are going to be running up and down every yard of our bike infrastructure in the city, to inspect them, to make sure that they're safe, and then to be able to make sure that they're clean with this sweeping bike-oriented sweeping vehicle as well. So this is a great step forward for bicycling. It's a great step forward for being able to meet the needs of the city and our streets with electric vehicles. And I think that when we set the example here with these vehicles, we're going to be setting the example for others. And that's going to be critical in meeting all the goals that the mayor said. We're leading the way with LA 100, but LA 100 is very much dependent upon electrification of vehicles, and getting Metro and LAUSD and the county and the community colleges all together on the same page with electric vehicle charging infrastructures and others is going to be key, and we're doing that today. And we're doing that with the task force that the council has worked with these other agencies to coordinate. So with that, I am really pleased that my council district is going to be home for this center. You're all welcome to come and visit anytime. Come on down, bring your ideas to the Center for Innovation, and we're going to be happy to advance them forward. So with that, Mayor, and Keith, I'd like to invite you over to the plaque here that we're going to unveil to recognize the Center for Innovation.
This is the mid-press conference reveal. Ready? 1, 2.
All right.
Thank you. We just got through what we call in Los Angeles a strong storm. Thank you all for bearing with us during that. We are now going to ask Councilmember Mitch O'Farrell to step forward. He's gotten DWP working on an electric vehicle master plan to ensure that we aren't just talking about the work, but we're preparing the backbone of our zero-emission future. As chair of our Energy and Environment Committee, too, on the City Council, he's been a tireless advocate of making sure that we have a greener grid, going out actually, making some of the agreements with some of our tribal friends and previous owners of coal plants to make sure that they have a good future. And I want to thank him for his incredible leadership. Please welcome Councilmember Mitch O'Farrell.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good morning, friends and esteemed colleagues. It is a real honor to be here today. And Mr. Krikorian was talking about LA 100, which is such an innovative, groundbreaking, and I call it an imperative. It's not a goal, it's not a wish, it is an imperative to act locally to help save the planet's environment. And so steps like today are a huge step in that direction that we absolutely must take. And I am so proud to be on the Los Angeles City Council because we are leading the way as far as local jurisdictions. It's right here in Los Angeles, and it is not easy. Folks, we have incredible challenges before us to get to that just transition to energy, and we're looking renewable energy, and we're looking at all of the challenges, head on. And that's how we have to do this, because in less than 13 years, it's 2035. I call it 12 years plus. So we have some really tough decisions to make, but we need to know out front and up front what we are up against, because we are going to make it happen, and we're going to face those challenges collectively with all of the experts in the field and the environmental groups, because in Los Angeles we have the know-how and the ability. I want to thank StreetsLA. I want to thank Mayor Garcetti, Congressman Cardenas, and my council colleagues up here. So proud, and chair of the Energy, Climate Change, Environmental Justice, and River Committee. As I mentioned, we are leading LA carbon-free energy by 2035. We have two huge components of achieving our LA 100 goals: solar energy, including solar energy at municipal facilities, and innovations including vehicles right behind us, which is why Councilmember Krikorian and I pushed to include $30 million in this current year's budget for electric vehicles. We need to take advantage of our incredible natural resource, the sun. It's hiding a little bit today, but it certainly hasn't been hiding in the last week. To charge our vehicles, Los Angeles is the perfect place for this. The Beam solar charging canopy right to my left over there, just standing under it, I felt supercharged. We're purchasing for this effort does not require an infrastructure to build out, as the mayor just said, and we need to purchase many more, and we need partners in private industry to help us purchase those. We can do that. The equipment can also be easily transported to other locations. So this is efficient in terms of both costs and practicality. In the event of a power outage, the battery can be used to power communications equipment, as well as other tools needed to respond to an emergency. So again, thank you to everyone here for your leadership in making this happen. It's innovations like this that will keep us moving toward that LA 100 imperative and a sustainable, carbon-free future. It is not out of reach. We just have to put it in the works, and we are. Again, thank you so much. Onward and upward to a completely renewable energy future for the city of Los Angeles and the rest of the country. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, council member. Next, another champion who I was standing with recently to talk about other green innovation with StreetsLA as we have lighter paving that helps us bring down the temperature. Something we did in this district, but led by first in his district. And he's been a great champion of our Chair of Public Works, a longtime supporter of electric vehicles. And Councilmember Bob Blumenfield's efforts have led our city to having an EV building code that is really an example for the rest of the country and the rest of the world. So please welcome the Chair, Public Works Committee, and another Valley boy, Bob Blumenfield.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Really, everyone who's here today, who's committed to our environment, I am just so honored to be here. And in my commitment to recycling, I want to recycle some of the things I heard already. I love the idea of charging forward. It's what we need to do. And I want to thank Congressman Cardenas not only for that great slogan, but also for bringing us the federal money and for really being that partner. We are always leading the way here in Los Angeles, but in order for us to make that big impact, we need our Build Back Better. We need our federal partners, and no better than Congressman Cardenas. So thank you. What else can I recycle that's been said? There's been so much that's been said. I mean, and how cool is this to have this vehicle right here that we can just plug in? It's awesome. So I chair the Public Works, and I want to mention the StreetsLA folks who are part of Public Works and how this fits in, not just with what we're talking about today, but within the themes that they're putting together. StreetsLA, they have 5 innovative themes, and I want to acknowledge Keith Mosey and Greg Spots, the entire team, for making this happen. Their number 1 innovation is Path to Zero Emissions Fleet. We're talking about this. StreetsLA has more vehicles than employees. Think about that. More vehicles than employees. Those employees get charged up by knowing that they're charging those vehicles with energy. And while the long-term goals get to 100% zero emissions, this is an amazing interim step. Greening StreetsLA facilities is their innovation number 2, which includes solar generation at facilities just like this one. Sustainable streetscapes, that's their innovation 3. Not just resurfacing streets, but taking opportunities to transform them to improve safety, serve everyone, and incorporate environmental benefits. Their number 4 big innovation, and I love this one. It's basically the idea of digital everywhere. It's the innovation, IoT, innovation of things on steroids. It's making everything that we can digital. We use the street sweepers to collect data about our streets. We use that data to better serve the people. If we want to know what kind of trees are planted on the streets, we can increase street sweeping when we know that we know what trees they are and when they drop their leaves. All that information is fed into it, and we become the true smart city that we are and that we really deserve to be. Because that is when we look on the horizon and we look in what is Los Angeles' future going to be, we not only see this green city, but we see a really smart city. Because those two things go hand in hand. using the technology, harnessing the power of technology to bring it all together, to have the light poles talking to the vehicles, telling us what parking spaces are available so people don't have to be moving around, using when we realize that the solar is out, using those portable solar facilities, moving them, but having all the information feed in. And that plane overhead is telling me that it's high time that I stop talking and we continue moving forward. So let's charge forward, and thank you very much, and go green Los Angeles.
You're a hell of a recycler. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. So thank you, and I want to now turn over to Councilmember Nithya Raman, who I recently appointed to be our city's representative on the South Coast Air Quality Management District Governing Board, which is really the most important place to look at all of our clean air. I grew up here in the San Fernando Valley at the intersection of the 101 and 405 during leaded gas, and I grew up with a cancer cluster. My parents, my sister, everybody's had cancer besides me. We know that clean air matters. So we're not just doing this because of the emissions and saving us from global warming. We're also doing this because this means something to people's lungs, to people's lives, and to their health. And I know that she is an incredible champion for that. Please welcome Councilmember Nithya Raman.
Hi, everyone. Sixth elected official to speak right now. What possibly more is there to say? Yeah, exactly, right. I just did want to say, speaking from my perspective as the person who is newest to serve as an elected official, I've only been in public office for a little over a year. To me, I still have the ability to be surprised at how hard it is to get things done within the bureaucracy of government. It takes so long to make change happen. So really, I'm here, not to bore you with more words, but really to be a champion for our departments. To Greg, to Keith, to Tony, this is your achievement, and I know, having watched the inside of this city work over this past year, how long it took and how hard it is to get to this moment. So I just wanted to give you a big round of applause today. So thank you very much. And that's all I had to say. Thank you all.
They say short speeches win elections. I'm voting for you, so, and not for myself. Those are the three people we're going to close with because they really have brought this day about. And as I mentioned, the director, Keith Mosey, who's come up in the city, who's come up in street services, represents the men and women who work in this incredible department. It's where I did my first event was with Streets the day I was sworn in as a mayor to come out and pave a street out here in the Valley. And I'm so indebted to you for who you are, what you do, and the leadership that you brought. Please welcome our director, Keith Mosey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, elected officials. When I started with StreetsLA, we had diesel vehicles. Then we transitioned to CNG. Then we were given a mission with the mayor's Green New Deal to basically go electric. And we started working with our partners at Department of General Services and our vendors basically to move in that direction. And I want to say thank you to both of you and all of you. I just want to also note that StreetsLA, we've been recycling for decades. We recycle asphalt, concrete, we do mulching, things like that. This is the next step as far as in our evolution when it comes to sustainability and adaptation as far as for climate change. This is very important for us, that the vehicles that inspect our streets, clean our streets, will emit zero emissions. That's very important for us. We're also looking to use assets, our asset management systems, smart cities, technologies basically to work together. So when we do one infrastructure, we're going to go in there and do everything that's needed to basically, correct, sidewalks, streets. We're going to do pavements. We're going to do cool pavements. We're going to plant trees. And we're going to do this with zero emission vehicles. That's where we're going. Zero emission vehicles basically do construction. My goal is to lead the nation and the world in this technology and construction on adaptability, sustainability through construction, through zero emission vehicles, through cool pavements, through planting trees, and all those great things, and wildlife adaptation. I want to thank our StreetsLA team. I want to thank Greg Spots and everyone who helped me put this together. There's our goal, and this is where we're going. The future's only brighter for us in this technology. So thank you.
Amen. Yes. Well said, and thank you. And let the record reflect that for 30 to 40 years, our street ratings were going down every single year. We never put the right resources. For the last 8 years, they have gone up every single year, thanks to this council, this administration prioritizing that. But most of all, your people and your leadership. It has never been smoother. We still got a way to go, but it is getting better every single year. Great. Sorry, not yet, Greg. You get to finish. Tony Royster is General Manager of General Services. For those of you who are uninitiated to the city bureaucracy, it's the most important department. It's who every other department calls when they need stuff, often the last minute when they're wondering where it was. And this is one cool customer. He helps oversee over 11,000 vehicles that are part of our city fleet and makes sure these purchases are done in a responsible, green, and efficient way. Please welcome our General Manager of General Services, Tony Royster.
I want to thank the Mayor, the Council, Congressmember Cardenas, and the StreetsLA for their partnership for allowing GSD to be part of the equipment being showcased here today. As the Mayor said, we're the agency responsible for purchasing and maintaining over 11,000 vehicles and equipment. The hybrid sweeper you see here today is an example how we work with our manufacturers to build solutions based on our needs. We're here to support the fleet electrification. GST has installed over 350 EV chargers for the city fleet, visitors, and city employees. We have another 200 EV chargers, which will give us a total of 550 chargers. We also have 124 EV sedans in service, and we're ordering 4 EV trucks are expected to arrive this year. And we will continue to work with the city departments to support and help the city meet its zero emission goals. Additionally, I want to thank the GST staff. All GST staff, raise your hand for making sure this is happening, and also, and they're the people behind the scene that make sure these things are done, the equipment is purchased, and the specifications. And thanks again for allowing GST to be a part of this wonderful program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony. And since I've been mayor, I've convened a weekly cabinet meeting of all of our general managers, and I'll never forget the day when the police chief reported his sustainability statistics to everybody else, how they had gotten rid of a lot of, as I mentioned before, their copying, started double-siding or going paper-free, and he gave me the statistic of how many trees had been saved. And I realized that our culture of pushing down sustainability to every department was working. And the warriors who really do that within each department are the chief sustainability officers. I know of none that is any better than this man who leads the StreetsLA sustainability efforts. He's innovative, he's passionate, he apparently likes heavy metal, and he'll tell you all about that. Assistant Director and Chief Sustainability Officer, Greg Spots.
Thank you so much. I'll be brief in wrapping it up. Mr. Mayor, it really changed everything when you said every department needed a chief sustainability officer. It not only changed our department, it's really changed the arc of my professional career. That next day, I walked into my boss's office and said, I want to be that chief sustainability officer. There's no extra money, a lot of extra work, and I said, I want to do it. And more of my time I spend doing this. And this is in spite of the truth that Nithya Raman spoke about bureaucracy, this is also an innovation supportive environment. Everyone behind me has helped us in this effort. My boss and good friend Keith always says yes when I bring crazy ideas forward. And the council members were always, we have more partners than we can think to need around the horseshoe when we have an idea and we need to get it funded. The members of the Board of Public Works always are enthusiastic and supportive of innovation at StreetsLA. So it's actually a very exciting place to be. And I just wanted to mention a few things about the new sweepers. 4 years ago, Keith and I issued a call to action to our longtime sweeper supplier, Elgin, and our dealer, Haker, that we wanted to go through a process of electrifying the Broom Bear. We'd done this together before. We were the first purchaser of CNG, compressed natural gas sweepers, so that we would reduce that diesel particulate matter emissions of the diesel sweepers. We did this together once. We decided to do it together again. The Elgin Broom Bear is built around a commercial truck chassis that isn't available yet in all electric. So what Elgin told us is, let's electrify all the cleaning functions so that we're EV ready when those commercial truck chassis come around. So Haker provided a demonstration model, like a prototype for us. We tested it in LA. There were instruments all over the sweeper measuring the cleaning functions. It turned out the power usage of the cleaning functions had never actually been measured. They measured it here on LA streets. Then they went back to the lab, Elgin, and figured out they could make those cleaning functions 50% more efficient by changing them from hydraulic to electric. They did that, and now the reduced demand of power for the cleaning functions made it that it could be powered by the battery similar to one in a BMW i3 small electric sedan. So what you see behind you has 2 rather than 3 tanks for CNG, and instead of the third tank, it has a battery similar to the BMW i3 that can drive the cleaning functions for an entire 8-hour shift. And by doing that, the CNG engine is only transporting the sweeper, taking off 25 to 30% of the power demand. That's 25 to 30% less emissions of air pollution, less emissions of carbon, and we're running 100 of these every day. Think about how many miles, how much emissions can be reduced. So, you know, in partnership with the private sector and with our amazing folks at GSD Fleet, we're actually making a market for new technologies and blazing that path to zero emissions fleet. And, you know, we named our sweeper, our mini sweeper, our electric mini sweeper, Verde. And so we decided to name the first 2 of the hybrid electric sweeper. So we're naming them Angus and Malcolm after the guitar players for AC/DC. So give a hand for Angus and Malcolm, the first 2 hybrid electric sweepers in the United States made by Elgin. And thank you, everybody, for coming.
We're back in black. All right. I like it. So finally, just very briefly in Spanish, too, thank you for our Spanish stations for your patience as well. Muy buenos días a todos y gracias por estar aquí con nosotros al mandar la primera barredora híbrida eléctrica de tamaño normal a limpiar las calles de North Hollywood y nuestra ciudad. Este vehículo híbrido se une a la creciente flota de la ciudad de vehículos que funcionan con batería. Los Ángeles es un líder y es un laboratorio de innovación y nueva tecnología, un lugar que continúa guiando el futuro. Y gracias a este Consejo Municipal y nuestro líder en Washington, Tony Cárdenas, también vamos en camino para alcanzar nuestras grandes metas de Acuerdo Verde de Los Ángeles, como llegar a un 80% de vehículos cero emisiones para el 2035. Tenemos una de las flotas de vehículos eléctricos municipales más grande del país. Estamos electrificando nuestros autobuses y hemos invertido más de $70 millones para instalar estaciones de carga y ayudar a las personas a comprar vehículos eléctricos usados. Nuestros objetivos son claros. Aire más limpio, reducción de emisiones, comunidades saludables y un futuro más sostenible para todo angelino. Gracias. And I know Rams have been getting a lot of the attention this week, but it's nice to talk about the Chargers for a little bit. Thank you so much for coming. And with that, if there's any questions, happy to answer. Or have folks answer. Landed. Stuck the landing. All right. Any questions from the media? All right. Thank you very much. Have a great day, everybody.